Joseph Bowman, born Joseph Lawrence Bowman, was a frontier, Virginia state militia officer during the American Revolutionary War. He was second in command during Colonel George Rogers Clark's 1778 military expedition to capture the Illinois country, in which Clark and his men seized the key British-controlled towns of Kaskaskia, Cahokia, and Vincennes. Following the 1779 campaign and defeat of the British forces in Vincennes, Bowman was critically injured in an accidental gunpowder explosion and subsequently died of his wounds. He was the only American officer killed during the 1778–1779 Illinois campaign. Joseph Bowman kept a daily journal of his trek from Kaskaskia to Vincennes, which is one of the best primary source accounts of Clark's victorious campaign. Early life. Joseph Bowman was born in Frederick County, Virginia, the son of George Bowman and Mary Hite, anglicized from their original German names, Hans Georg Baumann and Marie Elizabeth Hite. His maternal grandfather was Jost Hite, a German immigrant credited as the first white European colonist to settle west of the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia. In 1732, Hite led his extended family, including his daughter Mary and her husband, George Bowman, to the Shenandoah Valley, near present-day Winchester, Frederick County, Virginia. Jost Hite distributed land that he owned to his family and to other settlers, claims which would later be contested in Hite v. Fairfax, a landmark Virginia land case. Joseph Bowman was born at Fort Bowman, near present-day Strasburg, Shenandoah County, Virginia. In 1774, Joseph Bowman served in the Virginia colonial militia during Lord Dunmore's War. Other Virginians who served with him in the war included George Rogers Clark and Leonard Helm. Soon after Dunmore's War, Bowman moved to Kentucky with other British colonists who were seeking available land on the western frontier. In 1777, Joseph Bowman was living in the frontier settlement of Harrodstown, in present-day Harrodsburg, Mercer County, Kentucky. On September 11, 1777, 37 men from the area gathered at Bowman's property to shell corn and were attacked by Indians. One white settler was killed and 6 others were wounded before the Indians were driven off. Revolutionary War service. Joseph Bowman and 3 of his brothers served in the American Revolutionary War. Bowman is sometimes confused with his brother, Colonel John Bowman, a prominent leader of the Kentucky frontier settlements of the Virginia state forces during the war. Joseph Bowman served as a captain during George Rogers Clark's campaign into the Illinois country and was present at the capture of Fort Gage in Kaskaskia on July 4, 1778. Captain Bowman later moved north, leading an ununiformed, combined American, mostly Virginian and locally born, Illinois country, French, transplanted French-Canadians force, to capture Prairie du Rocher and Cahokia, Fort de Charton and Cahokia, where Bowman remained for a time as the commanding officer of the renamed Fort Bowman. When Fort Sackville, renamed Fort Patrick Henry, and Captain Leonard Helm, the Virginia state militia commander, were captured by British Lt. Governor Henry Harebier Hamilton. In late 1778, Captain Bowman marched with Colonel Clark, in February 1779, across 180 miles, to lay siege to the British forces at Vincennes. Joseph Bowman also participated in the negotiations for the surrender. After the British surrender, the American flag was raised and the fort was renamed Fort Patrick Henry on February 24, 1779. Within days, a dispatch from the governor of Virginia arrived, with commissions promoting Clark to general and Bowman to major. For his services rendered, Major Bowman was granted a total of 4,312 acres in land north of the Ohio River, known as Clark's Grant. there. In celebration of the end of General Clark's Illinois campaign, a 6-pounder cannon was fired on February 25, 1979. During the cannon salute, some of the artillery gunpowder charges accidentally ignited, wounding Captain Edward Worthington, 4 privates, a captured British soldier, and critically wounding Captain Bowman. Oddly enough, General Clark made no mention of the tragic cannon accident in his memoir. However, Clark does describe Major Bowman leading soldiers as late as June 1779. Due to the severe burn wounds he received, the health of Major Bowman deteriorated, causing him to die at Fort Patrick Henry on August 14, 1779. The last page of his journal is blank, except for an anonymous notation, "God save the Commonwealth, this 15th day of August, 1779." A bronze grave marker with the date of August 18, 1779 was later placed in the St. Francis Xavier Cemetery, adjacent to the George Rogers Clark National Historical Park, Vincennes, Knox County, Indiana, though he was buried somewhere along the Wabash River.